Welcome to the Squad Games Podcast. Squad Games Podcast.
Did you guys know that there is a brand new walkout strike that will affect a lot of miniature paints as we know it?
Really?
Correct.
Huh.
Vallejo has a
Spain?
walkout right now for better working conditions, better. I think there was like 5 things they're looking for.
I'm going to assume one of them is pay.
Usually
Yes.
always is.
They want a 15% increase in wages
Okay.
to show the profit wise. Better. I think there's like 5 different things that they're trying to get through, and all of their 76 or so employees have walked out.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's rough, buddy.
Vallejo used to. So last November, Vallejo was bought by a brand new investment company. Thus, we have brand new Vallejo paints this year, right? They're trying to increase profits.
Right.
But with
Right.
increasing profits, they have supposedly started to taper off other things.
Right, cutting back.
Cutting back.
Mm-hmm.
So, for everyone's favorite show, Hobby Highlander, Vallejo paints might get harder, depending on how long this walkout lasts, might get harder to source. But yeah, that's my cold opening. Welcome to the Squad Games Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about our 2025 wish list for hobbies and Games Workshop materials, and we're also going to be talking about how to start. What was it? What was your question?
I wanted to see about cultivating a kill team environment out. You know, not all of us live on these huge coastal cities. A lot of us kind of have these scavenged niche games in our game stores, and we're just trying to build up a community.
Yeah. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about those 2 things. My name's Dakotah from Squad Games Podcast. This is Giacomo, and our guest today is Marty Lund.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming up.
Where do you hail from, Marty?
Lately in Phoenix, Arizona,
Wow.
you know,
The
so
AZ.
the other valley.
So he drove quite some distance to come here because he had burning questions, and we're going to be playing on Twitch later today. So
Nice. Thanks for having me.
yeah,
Well, by the
and
time you guys hear this, it'll be already have happened.
it would have
I think
already
it's
happened.
Yeah.
Christmas Eve, won't it be?
Yeah.
So,
probably.
Yeah, Christmas Eve. It's your
Merry
Christmas
Christmas in advance.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
The other thing that is kind of important, right, is the West Coast Championship did just happen. It happened a week ago, and I lost my voice. And Sheldon had to go to the ER because his urgent care because he threw out his back, and then I threw out my back, and I could not stand up. So I have medical patches on my back right now. It's been a rough day. So we missed last week. It's our first episode we've missed in
a
nearly
long
2
time,
years.
yeah.
Nearly 2 years. The very first episode we've missed.
Where we didn't
So,
try to make it up somewhere else, yes.
Yeah, which we apologize, everyone. That's a full week of,
Not hearing your favorite people on the internet.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We're probably
Your
someone's
favorite, your
we're probably
favorite.
someone's favorite.
We're definitely someone's favorite.
Did you know they did that Twitch recap? Shows you what channels you watched, and you guys, Squad Games was actually my most viewed of 2024.
Hell yeah. Let's go. Thank you, Marty.
It's like you're a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, sucking up, get you places.
Gets you in the office.
In the studio. In the studio. So first things first, when you walked in the studio, what did you think? Is this everything that you thought it was? Is it smaller? Is it more compact? Is it messy? What did you think?
No, actually, the camera makes it look larger on the inside. I'm amazed at how much you guys are accomplishing in the space.
Yeah. I think this is an 11-foot by 14-foot room.
Yeah, it's definitely not that large.
Yeah. So we do our best, and it's also half a workshop. So with LVO right around the corner, we have been full tilt going straight towards LVO, developing and making terrain maps, map packs, all that kind of stuff. And in fact, our last week's episode was supposed to be on what makes a good kill team map, and I have a lot of stuff about that, but we're gonna have to save that for another day. Because I've been learning quite a lot, and boy, is Volcus very difficult to make terrain for or maps for. In fact, the 3 objective, it's like the 3 body problem, you know. But
book
it's
series?
The book
And the
series
show.
and the show,
Yeah.
which I really enjoyed, by the way. Highly recommend. Both the book and the show.
I'm about to start reading it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will say that we have a 3 objective problem, much like the 3 body problem, just without all the extra craziness, you know.
Do you feel like if it was 4 objectives, the world would be a little better?
4 objectives would be better, in my opinion, but you couldn't use a single dice at that point to track scores, which I think Games Workshop really likes. And I think with 5 objectives, I would love to see Games Workshop go to 5 objectives for Kill Team, and you hold 2, hold more.
Easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
So if you hold 2 and you hold more, you score 2 points.
Classic ITC.
That seems suspiciously like what they were doing with Kill Team Arena.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems suspiciously good.
It was a good idea. When ITC did it was a good idea too.
Yeah, and elites could still focus just on 3 objectives, which is better, right? They don't need to get 4 objectives. And you could still have secure, so you could still like secure a point, and that point is yours until somebody else takes it, right? You could still have loot and all that kind of stuff. It is if you hold 2 objectives through your thing, you score a point. If you hold 2 or 3 objectives, however you want to score it, it would be better. For personally, I really hope Kill Team goes to a 5 objective format in the future because everything right now is so linear.
And I do feel like you could draft a heat map on most of the mission packs and just be like, by turn 3, these areas are blue. There's no one standing here, right? Like 50% of the board's empty.
So essentially, I'll give you guys a quick rundown since we got into it. A bad map is if an objective, the center objective on the center of the map of both center lines is in either deployment zone. Technically, it's a bad map because whoever's side that is can focus that one and can focus the center objective, and they can put their whole team to one half of the board and focus on those 2, go back and forth, while the other side has to focus on theirs, which is on a far side, and the center one is going to be on the other far side. So now they objectively have to split their teams. Which makes worse, right? So really you can only do a triangular objective. So you'd have 1 here, 1 here, and 1 here, or you'd have to go 1, 2, 3, or 1, 2, 3. Objectively, only having only having 3 objectives makes it so that you can only have so many fair layouts. And when you have Volcus terrain, which is massive terrain, I'm a big fan of smaller terrain. With having massive terrain, I think massive terrain is just bad because there's less variations you can do. Everything's going to look the same. Everything's going to feel the same.
You know, one of the other things that I notice is that I really like the Volcus board that comes in Hivestorm, where it has those areas chalked out. Like you guys initiated this originally with a couple of your zones, where you had those lines really well chalked out for your deployment zones. But they're very much committed right now to long edge, short edge, and that's it. In a situation where you might be like coming out of, say, half of a long edge, then you could do more with the objectives downfield as opposed to just running at your opponent. You're kind of both racing towards something downfield and maybe going at each other side to side while you move towards that objective.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot more play space there.
Yeah. Also, I know a lot of people hate diagonal deployment. I really like diagonal deployment. I think it's really interesting. But also with diagonal deployment, it adds another variation of those objectives that makes it more interesting because right now designing maps sucks. I know a lot of people look at me and they're like, "Hey, Dakotah, I love your maps. Let's make more, make them, do it." You know,
you
and
probably
I'm like,
to
guys,
a point where you can't do it.
I'm trying.
Right.
Math isn't mathing anymore.
There's only like so much you can do.
Right.
with
Only
Volcus.
so many combos before you're like, this doesn't work.
Same
anymore.
thing with Into the Dark, right?
Yes.
There's only so much you can do,
Which is why we have a variation in the wall.
Exactly.
Yes.
So there's like things that you can do, things that you can make interesting. Like a couple things that I've been toying with is 1 stronghold, 4 light ruins, or 4 strongholds, because I can do that. Other organizers can't. You know?
Creating terrain.
But yeah, who knows?
Is that on your wish list of things you want for the next season? 5 objectives.
Yeah, 5 objectives.
I really did love what you guys did with integrating those exploded hatchways from what was it? Soul Shackle?
It was Soul Shackle, yes.
That thing sold out so fast, by the way. Like, they had to do I think I got on the second reprint of that feature on the Galadark map.
Yeah, you really have to try and get 3D printed versions of those. There's like free resources that you can get those from, or you can pay somebody to 3D print them. Or 3D printers are also really widely available now.
Yes,
relatively cheap. You can get one for like $100. Don't suggest it. I'd pay the premium price. So
make it easy on yourself.
Make it easy.
You and your friends go in on one.
If
and
3D printing is not a hobby of yours, spend the more money, get the easier one. Trust me.
Even if it is a hobby of yours, get the nice one.
For somebody who owns 3D printers, Giacomo, you gave me one of yours.
I would not. When I was learning the Creality, the CR10 Mini, like even I was like, "What the hell is this?"
I think it's up on a shelf rack.
Yeah,
somewhere.
exactly. It was difficult to work with.
Yeah, I only use easy 3D printers now.
Yeah, it's just so much convenience is there.
Yeah. So on a couple of our Into the Dark maps, we have a couple of the exploded wall sections. Those count literally just as open hatchways. You could also just rip a door off and just say it's an open hatchway. It works because there's an additional tax to go through a door. It also makes it so that you, when designing maps on Into the Dark, you can say like, oh, I don't want razor wire, or I don't want this near this point, so I'm going to put it here. And usually I put them in like areas of the map that are like non-playable that people typically wouldn't use.
Right.
But then you can put that there and be like, oh, it's now interesting. Like I don't have to spend an APL to go through the door.
I can come to the bottom
it's already
side.
open,
Yeah.
or I can kind of see through it if I put a model against it.
Right. Shoot through the door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very interesting. It's pretty widely well received. The only thing is that people don't have that door section.
So 3D print it if you can.
It's also finally something the Grot can just grapple shoot through.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
I miss my Commando Grot.
You can still play them today.
So we want to get right into this wish list. I guess I went over my number one. 5 objectives. 5 objectives for Kill Team. No, actually, it's not my number one. My number one is 3 up saves for Striking Scorpions.
There goes one of mine.
It's funny. It's funny because we bring that up so much on the channel. People are like, are you still harping about that?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
I still think it could be a cool team being 3, 4, and 5. Banshees are the weakest, but they're the fastest and the hardest. Your Guardians are 4, and then you have your tanks, which are your Scorpions.
Dire
You're right, not the Guardians, Dire Avengers, because Guardians are just regular civilians. That's right. I got that wrong. I don't play Eldar.
You Mon K.
That was how I learned to tell Eldar apart in 2nd edition in 40K. I was like, well, there's squishy Eldar, and there's slightly less squishy Eldar, and then there's Dead-Ard Eldar.
Dead-Ard.
Dead-Ard.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think 3 up save is fine for the team. It doesn't... If Hearthkin can have it, these guys can have it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I went over my first one. It looks like we all have that on our wish list. Hopefully you do too, and if you don't, you're wrong.
I think it's just a cool flavor for a team, right?
Yeah.
Like, have all these different options. I think, like, when Ratlings came out, and they gave you 2 options for very different models, that was a really cool thing. Like, I'd never seen that before. I can't recall one like that.
Let's hope it's tested well. Let's hope Ogrins aren't OP.
We will see. I'm sure someone's going to bring it to LVO.
I mean,
I'm sure. They're very strong. And I think they're really, really strong on Into the Dark. And I have a theory, and that's why me and Marty are going to play on Into the Dark right after this, just to see how Giga Chad busted these guys are on Into the Dark. I think Ratlings are the new Pathfinders on Into the Dark. I'm sorry, Mark.
That's a big claim.
Well, I'm glad I brought my Hunter Clade Kill Team.
He's so upset.
Merry Christmas to me.
I could be very wrong. I was very wrong when I was like, I think Deathcore have play into Death Guard. No, they don't.
No, but I think you're more right about Ratlings.
I might be.
Just when we read the rules,
I might be wrong.
Like
too.
Ratlings have crazy rules for certain combos.
Yeah.
A really good combo. So yeah.
Yeah.
They're good.
Does anyone have a number 2?
Number 2? Yeah, you want to go, Marty? Take it.
I mean, I'm just getting coal for Christmas, but I'm asking for a bespoke Tyrannid Kill Team.
Man. I like that.
You're going to be left in the cold.
Yeah, I'm getting some bah humbugs here.
Because I'm going to partner
sure.
with you and say I want a Death Watch Kill Team, so that's perfect. Can we make this a box?
Nah, it'll never happen. Makes too much sense.
If we didn't get Tyranids versus Terminators,
Hey,
in the
I'm going to throw
Galadark,
my hat in the ring. I'm going to say Catachan. I don't think they're going to get a Kill Team.
I believe that more than ours.
I mean, eventually, maybe even the next year. I mean, they're doing what? They were all Cadians. Now they're all about the great coats. They got the Krieg out there as a full army. Eventually, they'll go back to the Guardwell.
I think the minimum that we'll see Catachan is in 2 years because like Guard's having their refresh right now,
let
and
them do
Games
the
Workshop
refresh.
has a cycle.
Yes.
Where 11th edition is going to happen in a year and a half.
Right.
Right? Which is crazy that 10th edition is already halfway done.
It feels like it's new.
It's brand new.
It feels like
It feels like
the
planned
update
obsolescence.
was amazing. I loved the update for Marines, anyways.
Yeah. So like, typically when they release stuff, they're like, "Hey, Eldar, a bunch of brand new stuff came out. You're going to not see anything for a year to replenish all the Eldar's money pockets, and then in 2 years, here's the next one, and then in 2 years, here's the next one."
They forgot one aspect warrior.
It's really easy to predict Games Workshop because they do the same. They have the same Strelling strategy every year because it works. Look at Games Workshop is now one of the most profitable businesses in all of the UK. In fact, they're more valuable than British Gas and Petroleum.
Really?
They are $4.6 billion evaluation company now.
Wow.
Because they grew over 25% this year, which I think is scary for Games Workshop. I think they're like one of the companies that aim at a 10%, 15% increase every year. And this year, they were at a 25% like 3 weeks ago, and they were evaluated at $4 billion. And then they just got evaluated with this new Amazon deal at a 4.6.
Oh, that's right.
I don't know what the percentage is. I'm very interested to see what they're going to be evaluated as. But there's a reason why Games Workshop was like, "Hey, there's no more 40K boxes coming out." When they announced that in October or August, they're like, "There's no more 40K boxes, just Christmas boxes," because we're already so profitable. We're going to push everything off to next year, and if they have to make profit, they can just be like, "Oh, here's more stuff."
Right. Coming
But
up.
I mean,
Now,
like,
this is just a theory. I don't know anything about Games Workshop.
I kind of like it that way, though. Honestly, it's refreshing to see a company that kind of plans themselves like an income fund where they're just like, we're going to make like 8 to 10% every year for the next 20 years, and that's our plan.
Yeah.
I've seen too many franchises just been like, "Hey, can we get 50% in 1 year and then long tail this thing until all the executives have moved on to other companies and then the franchise is dead?"
Look at Sony and the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, they're thinking about selling. I'm not sure if they're going to do it.
What I've heard, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the animated movie is the only thing that's doing great.
That one is doing amazing.
Everything else is...
I saw Craven. Did
you see Craven?
It was better than Venom.
Bro, they pulled it from theaters.
Yeah, it was better than Venom, but not like by a lot.
It was better than Venom?
Wait, there's still movie theaters?
Yeah, I go to the movies all the time.
Dude, I want to see War of the Rohirrim so bad.
Oh, that's not doing good either.
It's not?
No, I didn't get. It's in theaters probably still, but it is not getting people in, which is odd because there seems to be a big hype around it.
I guess the only one that's really doing like outperforming expectations right now is Sonic.
Sonic. I'm gonna go see that.
Who would
I'm not
know
gonna
in this
see
day
it.
and age a Jim Carrey movie would still be the highest grossing?
Well, Jim Carrey said he was done with movies.
But
and
he
then
likes the
Sonic
character
3
enough
came out.
that he's like, I'll play Eggman again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And there's going to be a fourth in the making, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Fourth has already been approved, and it's going to happen.
Good.
2027.
Good.
One of the few video game franchises that's doing well. We'll see if Warhammer can do just as good. Did you guys see Secret Levels?
I saw Secret Level. We don't want to spoil anything here.
I liked it. I liked the Warhammer one.
Oh, man, it was
cool.
It was so cool.
They didn't even need to say a lot. It was just, it's action-packed, and that's what I expect.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
It is great. If you haven't seen it, Marty?
I got like 2 minutes in, and then like one of my kids dropped something, and it was glass, and that was the end of my evening.
I think we've all been there. If you're a parent, you know exactly how it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we kind of went down the rabbit hole. So we have our kill teams that we're looking forward to. If you have a kill team that you're looking forward to, put it in the comments. Or if you're on Discord, you're listening to on Spotify, join our Discord and put it into Discord.
Yes, the link is in the description.
Give us a 5-star. Give us a 1-star if you
Whatever
think
you
our
wanna
takes
do.
are bad.
Which direction is the doobly-doo?
The doobly-doo?
Over there somewhere.
Yes. Over here somewhere.
Aiming down, as they say.
Yeah, I'm probably not gonna edit and put it in there.
No, we're definitely not. This is made quick.
Yeah, it's made quick. Quick turnaround.
Quick turnarounds. That's what's up.
Do we have another thing that we would like to see next year?
I mean, I would be in favor of switching out like secondaries and stuff, like maybe I don't know, either additional cards or maybe, something. It's because I feel like that way you're rotating the game and it's not as stale.
Well, they are doing that. Every year we're getting a new card deck.
So I'm already set.
Yes, you are set. When that's going to happen, I don't know.
Idea.
But they told me at Nova when I did the behind the scenes thing that there will be a brand new crit ops every year.
Yeah.
So hopefully they learn because I don't know how long it takes them to get publishing, but I'm sure that the next crit ops has already been published or is being published now.
Because Seek and Destroy has kind of some lousy ones.
Seek and Destroy. I mean, all of the TAC ops are bad. Like there's nothing good.
I don't know. I think Security has a few outstanding ones if you're playing Legionary.
If you're playing Legionary,
on
correct.
Vulcans, there's some outstanding ones.
But Giacomo, don't you love just planting beacons over and over and over again?
I love holding what is
Beacons are life.
Beacons are life, holding strongholds.
There's a couple that I would love to see come back from Kill Team 2018. I would also love for this to happen. You guys tell me, audience, hear me out. Kill One, Kill More, I would love to see come back into the game. And Kill One, Kill More APL, okay? I would love to see that come back. Because if you kill one guy, you score a point. If you kill more than your opponent in a round, then you score 2 points. APL. Okay, so if you kill a Marine, now the Marine player is like, I have to kill 2 guys, otherwise you're going to get 2 points, right? If I only kill 1, cool. But and you can score that. Let's just say you can score that every single turning point, so you can go up to 8. Okay, or you can only score it in turning point 2, 3, and 4. I would say every single turning point.
I could see that being pretty good, but you may have to adjust it based on the size of teams.
No.
Kind of like what they do with kill ups.
No.
You don't think so?
No.
Because if you kill an elite, are you sure it's a feat? But you can. There's some teams that can do it
in
easy.
Kill Team 2018, there was the thing. If you killed all of the Marines in one round, you've pretty much already won the game, and you're only going to score 2 on kill op. Right? If you kill 2 Marines, you have to pace yourself. It's a different kind of strategy game rather than what we see currently. In Kill Team, where it's very much just like, I have to kill every single person on your team, and I have to make Marty, who's sitting across the table, feel bad about himself and his decisions.
Well, I mean, that's a default condition, but still.
Yeah, that I'm not disagreeing
Feel
with that
worse.
about kill up right now. You're right. It is one of those, like, I'm going to make you feel bad because I want to score maximum.
Yeah, that's
Right.
something I dislike.
I
about it.
That I would
really
agree
like
with.
the idea of rewarding just outright tabling somebody as fast as possible.
Agreed. So I think Kill One, Kill More, you have to pace it. If you're trying to, obviously, if you're going to table somebody, you're going to try to win the game because that's good for you. But you are going to score less. You know, if they only have 1 Marine left and they're able to kill 1 guy on round 3 and then 1 guy on round 4, and you can't kill that last guy, he's going to get 4, right? The Marine player will get 4 points because you couldn't kill the last Marine, which is objectively still good for because when you take a low model count team, right, you're kind of saying you have to pace yourself if you want to max on kill up.
Sure. But I feel like if I'm playing against more hordy teams, like anything bigger, if I know I have to kill more, I'm going to just try to kill as many as I can in a turn that are exposed, and I'm going to do it anyways. I'm still going to make you feel bad. Because if you kill 1, I need to kill at least 2. But if I'm already going to kill 2, may as well kill 4. Because you have a bunch of bodies, I'll get to do it again next turn.
Agreed. But you're not really incentivized to... If they have 2 models left, right? You can just kill 1 guy and leave 1 guy alive.
Like you
because
could
you've already
refocus.
scored your point. You don't have to.
Right.
You could focus on
max your point.
maxing your tac op or God forbid, actually playing the crit op. Like we just don't do that around here. But
Yeah. Or let's say if you get more kill op points than your opponent, you score 1 more. So you can get up to 9, and your primary has to either be your crit ops or your tac ops. So
Okay.
your kill op is always up to 9. You know, I mean, there's so many
there's
different
ways to do it.
There's so many different ways. I just want to see a change from you have to kill every single person on your opponent's team in order to win. I think it's just it feels bad, and I definitely don't like to be tabled, and I also do not like to table people.
though I do think I'll have to reconsider it if we ever. I mean, this is another segue.
Uh-huh.
Segue into another item on my wish list. I'm hoping I get a balanced data slate for Christmas as opposed to a lump of coal.
That's fair.
Right now, I just kind of have this like meme reaction to, you guys kill Space Marines?
PDF over coal.
You know, it's just like, oh yeah, I got to kill 2 Space Marines this round. Guess I'll go die.
Guess I'll go die, because that's hard. That's very hard. Unless
A few of them. Most flavors of Space Marine are actually very killable, but Chaos Space Marines in this edition, just they don't die.
Give me a cigarette after that fight. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah. I agree. It's been
It's not fun. It's not fun going against them.
no.
Not if they're playing good on purpose.
Yeah.
Because you can definitely play like more fun and just do things that are way left field and still do all right. You may not win, but you know.
Yeah, I feel like there's like a very 2-tiered kill team experience right now. Like you can play teams at tier A against teams at tier A and have a good time. But if you take like a tier B kill team and throw it against a tier 1, tier A, whatever you want to call it, a high tier kill team, you're not going to have a good time.
No.
Yeah.
I brought my robots because I wanted to play, like my cyborgs, I wanted to play some tier B kill team for a change.
And it gets kind of stale. Like we keep seeing Legionary and Warp Coven all the time. Like, all right, and there's other teams. There's 30
I
something.
can always
of them.
bring Death Quarantine
Yeah.
instead.
No.
There's always 30 something. There's always 30 something teams. Like let's play some of the other ones.
We're playing a second game today against Charlotte. She's bringing Void Dancers.
See,
so
that's
I might
more fun.
I might
be
just
fun.
play Ratlings into them and get them murdered.
I am here for your amusement. You can just bat me around like a cat toy. It'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, they might not be good on Into the Dark. Who knows? G, do you have another wish list item? I have quite a few. I want to see.
I feel ways about stuff.
Remember, these are wishes. These are probably not going to happen, right?
I kind of want a redesign of Galadark. Like we have the pieces that we have now, but I like that format of just being there's no 3D. It's
So you're
essentially just
hoping
a
the
2.
next season is Galadark, but
similar.
Galadark 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
Okay.
like something like give us another way to play it. I mean, I could always make one up myself, but you know, that's not as approved as when people do like, oh, it's actually from GW.
dude, I want like bays, like you can have bigger rooms and you can have like, you can get up on like vantages. You can do like, I want like interspace combat. I don't want like, we're just fighting in random hallways that mean nothing. Because Into the Dark, the cool thing about it is they had all those cool little bits and bobs, and then the competitive way to play is you don't use
any of them, which is like, oh, okay. I
you
guess
don't
we're
use
not
a pipe.
right. We're not in the surgical room. We're not in this one with
We're
all
just
the control
in
center.
abandoned hallways that
Right,
have been
that-
moved out by.
Right, exactly. And it's like that's kind of
Root
boring.
raiders.
Like,
Well,
Yeah.
does anybody remember when they first demoed it, right? When they were first coming out with it, and they really emphasized, like, oh, look at these like cool pipe extrusions and all this other stuff, and a bunch of people they gave it to thought you could you could just run through the walls and stuff, and it was kind of nuts, kind of fun, but like I feel like we did kind of suck the fun out of it.
Yeah,
it happens.
I agree. If you're not having fun with the Games Workshop ITD stuff, you should check out our map pack, which I think is objectively better.
Can we put that in the doobly-doo?
Yeah, we
It
can
is.
put that in the comments down below.
It always
So
is.
I have my next one.
Go ahead.
I would love to see Games Workshop re-release their paints in dropper bottles.
Never gonna happen.
Wow, bah humbug.
I think they have the pot market, and they know it, and they probably also know that eventually it dries and like
Yeah, like
it's
seriously,
worse.
Games
They're gonna sell
Workshop
you
has
it.
been having me twist, pop,
Use
screw
a
whatever
knife.
these pots and have them dry out and have to buy more of them since like 1994. Why would they stop now?
I mean, you're not wrong. But hey, this is a wish list, right? I think we can all wish for that.
You're right. You know, I would wish for that too.
Hey!
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
no,
You're
I
absolutely
would too.
right. You're absolutely
I
right.
actually have been picking up some of the new Army Painter Fanatics line. Last LVO, I got to meet some of their team over there and people, and I was just kind of like, you know what, I'll give it a shot. And more of a Hobby Highlander thing, but you guys are dropping some Hobby Highlander videos for the new stuff soon, aren't you?
Yeah.
We are.
So what we decided to do was stop Hobby Highlander and finish all the videos that we have, and then we're going to release the next 4 videos back to back to back to back. So each week there will be a brand new Hobby Highlander, and we have a new process for making Hobby Highlander. So we should hopefully be able to get them turned around a lot faster in the future.
yes,
Gee, where are we sitting on Hobby Highlanders?
we're on yellow.
You already finished?
Yeah, it's a rush project.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
It just takes more time.
So
Looking forward to it.
Which ones do we have pretty much done edited? So we have blue.
We have war paints. We have red.
So we have war paints versus all hobby Highlanders. So it's 6 hobby Highlanders up to that point. So it's all the 6 colors for into the hobby Highlanders.
I guess we could say season 1. If we'll restart at season 2 with the new stuff once this is all finished.
Exactly.
Yes.
And then we have what are the next 2?
So we got Warpaint Fanatics.
Uh-huh.
Well, we have blue. That's already mostly done. So we got Warpaints up. We got red, and then we have yellow. Yellow's in
So
production.
you finished red already, huh?
Red's a lot of fun.
I'm really
Red's a lot
looking.
of
Red's a
fun?
lot of fun.
And
Yeah.
red and
Red
yellow.
goes fast. Red goes fast. I talked to G like yesterday, and you're like, "Yeah, I started red, and now red's done."
Yeah, I was working on it because when I started red, I was also working on red, so it was like already there. The nice thing is when we started redoing around the turn of blue, we kind of figured out how to line things up, so everything was a lot faster to put together, and then just matter of chopping and finding parts we like.
Yeah, season 2 is going to be a lot different too because we also have a brand new macro camera. We actually have a whole nother camera entirely, so we can actually have close-up shots of us painting and stuff like that.
Using
too.
little tools and everything.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm really looking forward to yellow. I find yellow is just like the place where paint lines go to die.
Yellow.
It's a hurdle.
Yellow for me was the most exciting. Me and Giacomo both play Imperial Fist.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yellow is very close and dear to our hearts.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I had my favorites for yellow. I have my favorites for yellow. And yellow has one of the worst paints that we've ever tested.
Ooh.
One of the worst. And it could be still a high quality paint. It just doesn't cover.
Yeah, I
And personally,
You'll see
if
when
it
you see
takes
it.
20 coats
Yep.
to cover something,
That's not the color you want.
I don't want to use it.
yeah,
much.
I remember
Like,
when I was a
you can
youngin'.
have you can have a high quality paint. You can have whatever marketing ploy you want to spin behind it. I want a paint that functions.
Yep. Back in my day, I just remember the whole thing with yellow was you have to stain it over and over again on white, or you're never going to get a vivid yellow. Any of the yellows that were like had enough that like either you get a really desaturated yellow if you didn't go hard enough, or you'd get just too thin and nothing would happen. And I tried when I first stuck my toe into the Games Workshop waters. It was Space Wolves. Yeah, not big on the freehand, not big on the Andy Chambers style of all those iconography. It was a disaster.
Yeah, I definitely would say that our yellow episode has one of the most surprising results. So does red, but it has a really surprising result, I think, and a brand new favorite yellow color.
That yellow is a good color.
Yeah, very good. So hopefully we can help you out. We can help Marty out. But he's going
And
to have
then,
to wait.
and then we continue testing paints with, and hopefully Vallejo strike is over, and then we can get colors again. I mean, right now we still have them. So if you can get yourself Vallejo colors, start buying them now because they
buy 'em
probably
now.
will.
Buy them now.
There
What's
probably will be a
interesting is
moment.
I was reading is this in a Spiky Bits article, and they're saying that stores are starting to liquidate Vallejo again
Right, which was odd.
because it's been very difficult to keep a restock.
Right,
You know?
so they don't want to have it and then just like
Half-empty
sitting there.
racks are just a terrible experience
Right.
in general for retail.
What are you going to do? It's like, oh, so you guys don't carry product, and then you just walk away.
Another interesting thing, we got on a huge tangent here. Another interesting thing is Two Thin Coats. They sent us their entire paint range. We have everything.
Ooh.
Right. And what's interesting is that here in the States, they really only sell wave 1. So everyone thinks that they're like this
Tiny
weird-
paint line.
a tiny paint line. They're not. They have like 180 colors.
Yeah, dog. They got how many now? What, 3?
180 colors.
Yeah.
60 sets of paint each
Yeah.
one. And my gosh, they're good.
Pretty good. So if you've seen the orcs on our most recent battle report, everything except for parts of the green were used from that line.
Yeah.
So to test it out, and it's an enjoyable experience. To
Yeah,
play with them.
so we're filming a very slow hobby Highlander that we are both painting teams with only paints from a specific range. So my Corsairs will only be painted with Two Thin Coats. I will choose another team that will only be painted with AK, so on and so forth. And then we're going to debut them, show them, and we're going to talk about like, because when we paint with like 50 colors, so you can get a really good like
feel for the
range.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a long time in the making because we have to finish teams and get stuff out there. It's going to be fun time.
It is. It's a lot of fun doing it.
Flip side of painting an entire team, I'd love to see a couple of people like you and like Giacomo and Dakotah doing multiple models in the same line, like multiple Orc Boys or something, in those specific paint ranges to see how your styles work with the different, and change with the different ranges you have at your disposal. Like, would you paint an Orc Boy the same way with AK as you would with Vallejo?
I think what's interesting is that one of the things that we've noticed in the painting stuff is not every paint range has the same hue. So you have to change your painting style because not all of AK greens are the same as Tooth and Coats paint. But Tooth and Coats is very similar to GW.
That's probably the closest match.
Yeah. I think they did it on purpose, right?
Right.
And then you have like Army Painter, right, which has like almost every color known to man.
But they're really desaturated on some of the
Some of them are.
Some of their browns, some of their blues, some of their reds.
Like, what's difficult is actually finding, like in our blue episode, it's difficult to find a true blue because
they're poisonous. Like if you want to go back in old timey paint, like the truest blue, or just like deadly, you can't even buy them anymore. But those are like our visual standard of what is true
blue. What do they
blue.
use, like Nightshade or something?
I think it was like some sort of heavy metal. A lot of them.
So it's even better.
Yeah.
And those paint liquors are really dying here.
Oh yeah.
So like, but what's interesting is that like when we're painting with blue, like I would pull out a bottle and I was like, oh, this looks just like this color. And then like some of their paint pots are like not translucent and they're not the same color. So when we're testing paints, sometimes it's like, we just kind of pull the best that we can. It's not like I'm going online and being like, what's the truest blue of this line? No, I go to the game store.
And we look at it. Like you're going to do when you go there.
Yeah, you're like, all right, they no longer make... I used to paint with Enchanted Blue. I loved Enchanted Blue.
Not a thing.
Like back in the day when Coda de Arms made Citadel miniature paint, right? I loved Enchanted Blue. It's one of my favorite colors. That color doesn't exist anymore. I have a pot of it still. I think it's dried.
Put some mediums, try to rip it back.
But like finding a real blue, because Games Workshop doesn't sell a real blue.
That's actually something I hadn't thought about a little bit.
They're all desaturated or purple.
My perception of what neutral blue, like medium blue, is in my hobby experience is so dictated by ultramarines.
Yep, that is.
I'm like, that's
blue.
not true blue.
That's not even
like any
blue.
other context, that's not.
Right, that's like this
McCrag blue
color.
is not real blue.
Yeah, McCrag blue is a very purpley blue. Darker like denim purple blue.
Which makes me sad, by the way, because I really tried with my Cantor and everything else to do a nice set of Crimson Fists, and people like normies are just like, are those ultramarines? And I'm like,
no. They do use a lot of similar base colors, so I get it.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is you don't get when you start highlighting them, they go from like really dark blue to, oh, it's a lighting effect, but they're really this blue at the top. And then you're just like, okay, so just badly painted ultramarines with red hands. I hate my life.
And for me, I think it's really unfortunate that that Hobby Highlander or that these paints and stuff like that, like the Vallejo is having a strike because we haven't really got to talk about on Hobby Highlander. That's one of my other things. I hope that Vallejo gives into the demands of their workers, gives them a 15% raise. They can raise the price of their bottle pot. I don't care.
I'll pay the extra 50 cents.
I'll pay the extra 50 cents, the extra buck, like whatever.
I get a lot out of it.
Yeah. And pay your workers, make sure their facilities are safe. They don't have like proper showers, supposedly in a chemical paint factory.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know if any of that's true. I saw a Spiky Best article. I thought it was crazy. So that's one of my wish lists is that I hope that the Vallejo strike ends swiftly. Right. And the people get paid what they want because I would love to see more Vallejo and I want to see it still on store shelves. So the shorter it lasts, the better in my opinion.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Huh.
Nice.
Yeah. What's do you guys have another one?
Yeah, I hope GW refreshes their paint line because realistically, everyone who starts the hobby, here's your box of start collecting Space
dropper
Marines.
bottles.
Okay, we'll throw that in there because we already comboed it. Right, here's your start collecting Space Marine box. What does my son need to play with this? Oh, he should get paints. Well, you're in the store. Here's GW paints. They say it on the back of the box to get. Right, perfect. Can we get a better one? Because those paints, like we've already kind of bitched about.
Does GW even make primer in the pot anymore?
No, they stopped
No,
doing the primer in the
Because
pot.
that's the most miserable experience
It was
in the world.
awful.
Like they show you and they're like, oh, put the blue over the blue plastic and you gotta put like 3 coats on just to get paint to stick.
Games Workshop has some of the best primers, in my opinion.
And
To me, it
spray
also
can.
has some really
Yep.
good ones and stuff like that.
Like I love Chaos Black. I don't care what people say.
Yeah.
Applying their base paints to raw plastic like they do in the Learn Painting kits, that's
Wrong.
just kind of
Do not
being
do
like,
that.
yeah,
You
here,
gotta
play
buy
with
the
a
spray
nail
can.
gun, kid. This will be fun.
Yeah. So I think their contrasts are still dope.
Oh,
they
yeah.
don't need to change that.
That's one of the few
Those-
ones that like came
yeah.
out. swinging.
Those can stay in those pots. 100%. They don't
I've
need-
came
I've been
swinging.
trying to move to the dropper bottles, but
Not for
every time I want
contrast.
to contrast,
Just
and
keep it in
even
the pot.
like I've been a little bit hesitant about the shades here and there because they reformulated some of them. But like what I used to use Null Oil for, now I just use a thin Basilicanum gray.
That works.
I get pretty close to the effect.
Yeah, well, Giacomo, you've been really liking
Monuments.
washes, right?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think they kick a lot of butt.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
he's finished a full team with just Monument.
Yes, that was Nightlords.
Yeah.
Yes,
But I swear by the contrast paints, man.
Yeah.
Those keep me coming back every time.
I would agree because again, like you have Mephiston Red, which is a pretty good color, but like it has its own problems, and GW kind of just doesn't really have to improve because they're like it's our toy. We tell you what to use, so you're going to buy that anyways.
I guarantee
But-
you they're probably working on something.
Right, they have to
have
be
to be,
right.
yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for because I loved a lot of the colors.
We've seen like them start to formulate new stuff with a new medium already. So like we've seen like Nolan Oil got reformulated with
Yes.
some other stuff. People are saying that some paints are kind of changing a little bit here and there. They look lighter in the pots, but they kind of dry the same. So like I could easily see Games Workshop taking that plunge and hopefully like the Games Workshop still makes amazing paint. They do. Just
Colors
it's just certain colors I would like to see have better coverage or like if you don't have better coverage, you better have the best hue. Because that's the other thing is like sometimes paints we want a better hue of a paint rather than something else. But that's besides what we're getting lost in the weeds.
Yes. So that's what I want. Just something that's a little nicer if they're going to do it because it's insanely accessible. GW paints, right? Like you're always going to find it in the Games Workshop or at the hobby store.
Can you beat Imperial Fist yellow?
No,
That's
it's
a crazy
I wish
yellow.
I started
It's-
painting with that color.
Bro, it's crazy, bro.
I know. Go and another one. Can you bring back Averland Sunset spray cans?
I know.
I know Colorforge has theirs, and we have it in the U.S. now. But dang,
I'm trying to get Colorforge as a sponsor for LVO.
That'd be pretty dope.
Trying to.
Nice.
How about do you have another one?
No, you took my 3-up save for striking scorpions. I only brought 3.
I have a couple more. If you don't have any more, if you don't have any more wishes.
I mean, I kind of got something that I wanted this year for Christmas, except it's so actually, this is what I want. By the time Christmas rolls around, could the starter set actually be in stock anywhere in retail?
I know
like
where
they
there's
finally
some.
gave us a perfect Space Marine on Space Marine, 14 model, easy to build. Pick this up and play it with your friend. Beat up your little brother with it. Set, and nobody can buy it for the holidays. Nobody.
Where's it at, G?
If you are in the Southern California area, if you could go to Nightwear Games in L.A., it's not in the heart of L.A., but like near L.A.
It's in Hollywood area.
It's in the North Hollywood area, yes. You can absolutely get it. They had a bunch when I went to buy mine. Like they had 6 or 7 on the shelves. And my buddy yesterday went to the store and he was able to get Brutal and Cunning because they were, as he was walking in, they were pulling it out of the boxes. They didn't do pre-orders. They just have them.
Nice.
And they have so much old GW stuff, it'll make your head spin. You could still buy the Land Raider Crusaders there, guys.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Which,
dope.
which is sold out everywhere.
Yeah.
So Nightwears, I don't have any affiliation. Squad Games is not an affiliation with them. I just really like their store. So if you're out there, feel free to swing by.
It's an old store.
It's an old store.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are old as hell. Like they still have the old catalogs where you could buy bits, like that stuff, even though you can't order.
Yeah,
it anymore.
they're old as like Dante. You know, Dante's like the
Yeah.
oldest living space.
When
marine.
it comes to like game stores
Yeah.
in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah. So please, if you can go out there, that's where you can get it. If you're looking to get it, hopefully it's still there by the time you go and this comes out.
I have another team wish. I my next wish would be I want to see Emperor's Children coming out. I'm not an Emperor's Children person. In fact, I'm an Eldar player, but I
Yeah.
would love
Yep.
to see what they kind of do with some sort of an Emperor's Children team. Or Khorne. So imagine if they released like a Bloodletters / a Berserker team. You know,
I can see that.
That'd be crazy. You know, I just want to see another Space Marine team, but I think having there's so many rumors floating around about Emperor's Children coming out.
Oh yeah, I mean, at this point, with how much we've already seen, it's like when it's just a matter of when it drops.
I mean, they're doing
Noise,
it 12
Noise
weeks,
Marine
right?
Kill Team when?
Yeah,
It's 6 dudes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they could do like Slaanesh cultists too. You know, like
Right, they could do kind of like what Warp Coven does. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's mix and match.
What are Slaanesh numbers? Does Slaanesh have 2 numbers or just 1? Are they just on 6?
are they? I think they're special number 6, I believe.
I always thought they only had 1, and then I got the whole thing with the
have a
Plague Marine Kill Team being 7 and 3.
Yeah, 7 and 3.
That surprised me.
Their special rule will be if you roll a 6, you automatically retain 3 crits or something.
Cool. Could you imagine?
Brutal.
Yeah, that's a good wish list. Is having more of those kind of specific teams, and give us hero teams. I know people say like, well, we want to play whatever
Hero
you want to
teams?
design,
But-
but I don't mind hero teams. We like to reenact things.
Kill Team's a nice place to put it, especially on smaller elite teams. Like I remember one of the issues with Noise Marines between editions was the whole, these weapon profiles are complicated. Let's just turn it into sonic weapons, and they genericize them because it was too fiddly for certain iterations of 40K. Well, you could still do that. You could have like sonic weapons for 40K, and then you come down to the Kill Team level and you get to the granular where you're like, okay, the giant guitar of death,
Right, does this.
does something completely different than the bagpipes of doom. And you can really ham it up when you have a small enough kill team.
I would love to see like Kill Team Elites come back, where they just have like a book that comes out and it has like 3 models that you can add to each kill team.
I feel like that is going to
Commanders.
exist.
Yeah. So check this out. Or like the Space Marine, like I would love to see them come out with like a Titus model, or hear me out,
Like a Titus team.
Henry Cavill. You know, he's coming
Henry
out.
Cavill,
you know?
Rand team, whatever his show is.
So like maybe he's Eisenhorn, and then they pulled his model, and then like they make a plastic Eisenhorn with Henry Cavill's.
Him as the sculpt.
Bro, I would buy so many of those for no reason. I would just be like, oh, I'm gonna have Henry Cavill here. I'm gonna have Henry here. I'm gonna have a team of Henrys.
This edition doesn't have rules for Last Chancers or Gaunt's Ghosts.
They're gone.
Yeah.
Or you could do Eisenhorn. You could do
Right, his whole retinue.
what's his
That'd be a
name?
cool
You could
team.
finally
you could
play
do
a Jack
Ravener.
Harrow.
You could do a Beckwin team. You could
Beckwin
do
team.
what's the chair guy?
Revenant.
Revenant.
Revenor.
Yeah.
Revenor, yeah. Revenant.
Is it?
It's on a book
Yeah,
somewhere.
Revenor.
I've listened to those books
Gideon
so many
Ravener,
times.
I think?
Yeah, Gideon.
Yeah.
You could have a Gideon team. Like, I understand that Kill Team is like, hey, we want to push like these obscure models to have people play and buy that we're just like remaking. And you are the hero. That's what they did with the Inquisition. They're like, you are the Inquisitor.
No, I wanna
This
play the
is
cool Inquisition.
Yeah, I want to play the homie with the power sword and the psychic powers. I don't want to play the homie with a dumb pistol, a skull, and a book. Okay?
Do you imagine
Who
Cortez
uses
with
a book?
Who
Cortez with a
uses-
bunch of Grey Knights?
Yeah, and he's like,
Oh.
yeah, I'm not wishing for Kill Team Commander to come out. I am hoping that we get Kill Team Hero. Like we want more hero teams, like more
Hyrotech Circle proved that you can do it, right?
Right.
Like on paper before then, you'd be like, how the heck would you ever put a Hyrotech, like a Chronomancer or whatever, into Kill Team, right? It just wouldn't fit. They were like, watch me.
Yeah.
And they
They
did
did it.
Yeah.
Because, the whole point is like it's the hero's retinue, and that's what he's bringing.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So why can't we do that with other teams? Why can't Eldar be a thing and do that?
Yeah.
You could take one of the Aspect Warriors as a guy, and they come with their aspects.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Or another cool Eldar team. I'll put one out for the Eldar,
For the
okay? Because
homies.
I'm a big Eldar guy. I want to see a Spirit Seer and 5 Wraithguard
Whoa.
as a kill team.
As an elite team, I can see that.
As an Elven elite team.
Some big rocks.
And give me a cat. You know?
Oh yeah,
You know, the elf cats.
throw that links in there. Yeah, absolutely.
Make a seven-man team. It's going to be an elf cat, a spirit seer, and 5 wraith guard. You know, and you can build them either with the wraith cannons, the wraith D cannons, or the double swords,
And the
or the
axes.
short sword and axes.
Yeah.
Bro, I would go so.
That'd be
ham
a
in
pretty
that
sick team.
I would play elites.
Again.
I think the problem is always going to be scaling to 14 guardsmen, though. Like, how do you throw 14 guardsmen at 5
murder
Wraith
them.
Lord?
14,
Murder them all.
14
Yeah.
wounds. That's what the
like-
rocks will have.
Like we've escalated from 6 Space Marines. How do you handle them to 6 Wraith Guard?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you could do it. I think
5
you could do
Wraith
it.
Guards.
Five
Besides,
Wraith Guards.
they're only going to sell them in 3s. You know how
You are
GW
correct.
is.
Yeah. I think they sell them in 5s right now.
I know, but it's got to be 3 the next time when they release them. We
Right.
used to be a civilized people that bought Space Marines in 5s.
Yeah.
Then they just
Interesting thing though. Kill Team has broken the mold. I don't know if a lot of people have seen this. Kill Team has not been doing. So Kill Team used to do box set is a revamp of a troop and a brand new team. Well, we just had Hivestorm, 2 brand new teams,
Right.
and then we had Brutal Cunning, 2 new teams. So does that mean every single box set from here on out is going to be 2 brand new teams, no more refreshes?
I don't think so. Well, weren't the orcs a refresh or no? No, that was the first time they had these new ones?
They're an upgrade. They used to be a new team and an upgrade. Spree.
Oh, okay, yeah.
These are
these are brand new teams. Yeah,
new teams.
You're
Is
absolutely
it a
right.
refresh of a unit? Yes.
Yes,
But
but it's a whole. You're right. It's a whole new sprue.
so the whole future of Kill Team could get funky. You know,
I mean,
Now,
that could be the way.
The
You're right.
flip side of that is demand, right? Like every time you do a new release of something that's already in 40K without just an upgrade sprue, the 40K players go around and just it disappears real fast on release.
yeah,
I mean, unless they're terrible.
true.
Which you don't want. You know, you want to sell them, but it would be nice if the Kill Team players got to them occasionally.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, they're trying with the orange boxes, but that's just a signal of hey, new unit for your 40K army.
yeah. Yeah, like Titus. Titus is like, isn't he insane?
If you still can get the Space Marine board game, get that because you get a better deal versus when they release Titus, it's probably going to cost $45. Where the board game you can get for $40, sometimes on sale at Target.
By the way,
and yes, he is insane. He has 8 attacks on the charge with his close combat weapon. You throw him with some assault intercessors,
At
you
least
start
this
hitting
isn't
things.
8th edition or 9th edition when my Drukari leader could charge in, get 14 attacks, and then do like 2 mortal wounds, and then I could get like 28 mortal wounds because I just keep attacking.
No, you can't. But
No.
Marines now with their Oath of Moment, when they target it, not only do they reroll hits, they also get +1 to wound whatever their oath is if they're vanilla Marines. So like I'm wounding knights on average on a 4+ with weapons. So it is nuts now.
What is Titus wounding a?
Well, he has a strength 4 chainsword, right? So
So
whatever.
he's-
He's probably wounding like heavy tanks on 5s. Now you're suddenly wounding them on 4s. With 8 attacks is insane. Like and rerolls. It is insane.
Doesn't he do 2 damage too?
Yeah, it is insane what he can do.
so will he do 3 damage when Space Marine 3 comes out?
Why not?
Yeah, of course, of course.
Or will he be in new armor?
Will he ever be promoted back from lieutenant again?
I don't know.
I guess we'll have to see.
But the taint of chaos is always on someone. All my homies hate Leandros.
So, do you guys have any other wishes?
Besides keep begging for teams, I think I'm pretty wished out here for GW stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about you, Marty?
I think that's I'm just hoping to get out to more events, hoping to build the local community up and have some more of those. Love to have you guys come out to our valley at some point and host a big old hootenanny.
At the AZ.
Yeah, been talking to a few other event companies, and if things work out, we might be able to. I think we're doing one in the Bay Area next year. We might be doing. We are. I haven't talked to Giacomo about this. I'm going to right now.
Ooh.
There's a lovers event. It's like a duo event in Vegas in February. And the TOs have been desperately trying to get us to go out, you and me specifically, to go out and be on a team, go play at their event. So
We could
I have
book it.
already said yes. So
I can do that. Yeah. You just got to let me know when.
Make space. I was like, I told him, I was like, my guys, it cannot be on the, Valentine's Day, and it cannot be on my son's birthday or
Yep.
that weekend.
Right.
And they're like, we'll make it work. And I was like, if you're going to make it work, I'll make it
We'll
work.
make it work.
I got 4 kids. Guess how many are born in February?
All 4.
Almost. 3 of them. 3 of them are jam-a-lammed right in the middle of
I don't want to do the math.
1 week. 1 week in February.
All of the other one wants to be a black sheep. Like, I'm going to be born a different month.
Yep. No, and then it's just like February is just a train wreck. Like my mom's birthday is in February. Like
So is mine.
yeah, everything's in like this one, but it's not like all around February. Everything happens this is 1 week in February, and I just disappear. I'm just dad, son. Everything's just
His wallet's
that week.
gone.
Yeah, no, there's no wallet. Yeah, so
And then, I have a similar thing with November. Like all of my homies' birthdays are in November. A lot of homies. My dad, mine,
Yep, you're just off the tail of it.
Thanksgiving, Worlds, World Championship of Warhammer.
WCW.
All sorts of stuff, you know? So your last wish on your wish list is to grow the Arizona scene some more. Or if you're listening, this is probably the part where you're going to want to tune in. I'll probably have to put a thing right here. So
Take some notes.
People can be like, I don't care what these
Jabronis.
jabronis want, right?
I resemble that remark.
He resembles that remark. Didn't we talk about it on stream? It's like a ham.
I don't know what jabroni means. Aiden told me to look in the camera. I was like, what is a jabroni? He's like, look in the camera. I looked in the camera. He said, that's a jabroni. And I was like, all right. Thanks, Aiden. That
yes.
battle report I really need to put up on Patreon. It's a really good one.
It'll get there for you guys.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know.
Melee Vet Guard versus Hearthstone on Into the Dark.
Ask you a question.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you a question.
It was a cool one. I liked it.
It was fun.
Yeah,
It
you
was
had,
fun.
you had a cool trick shot, which I won't spoil, where
Yeah.
it happens.
Yeah, very lucky.
It was very lucky.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So, what are your specific questions? Because we have, like, obviously, we've grown Southern California a lot. So we can kind of answer a lot of questions, kind of give you our insights and our best kind of, like, guidance. And anyone who's listening, also something very, very similar.
Well, let's start from square zero, right? We have stores. They sell Kill Team.
Yes.
Product disappears from the shelves. Occasionally, somebody shows up on a random day, and you'll see like 2 people playing. And you'll never see them again.
Yeah.
But they still buy product. And it's just one of these phenomenon where it's just like, it's really hard to get a regular day. We have people come up. People are scattered among stores. Like, I've never seen an event around Phoenix, let's say proper, pull in like more than maybe 10 people tops. And that was like a GW store when they were doing a league of some sort there. And then like it rolled off their calendar and they never did Kill Team again. Right. Like, it was just these weird phenomena. I see more going on in Tucson. I visited down there a couple of times and stolen people's lunch money. I have a reputation. It's okay.
Marty the murderer.
I showed up twice, got really lucky. Like, I won like 6 consecutive games total over 2 encounters down the boogeyman.
He's a pool shark.
The Arizona.
But like
Arizona sun shark.
they have something kind of working there where they rotate between a few different stores,
Right.
and they have a fairly active Discord, and they can make things happen. But that's still like a 90-minute drive for me and most of the people I know. And we have a much larger population center in Phoenix.
Right.
We got several universities as opposed to like one, but we can't get it together.
So there's a couple things. So you kind of have to have somebody or a group of people. I see usually a group of between 4 and 5. You can go down to 3 or even 2, like me and Giacomo. And like, because originally it was just me and G. Like, I had an idea to grow the scene, and it was to go. How we first started from ground zero was we wanted to rebuild Kill Team after COVID, and our vision was to reunite people after COVID, because a lot of stores are very selective and they don't want to share people. right? They want to keep people in their own stores, right?
Right.
So one thing that we would go to stores and I'd be like, hey, I'm trying to reunite the Kill Team community so we can do games at different stores or do a traveling league at different areas and different stores so we can get people traveling different areas, get people traveling different stores. Not every store is open to that. Some stores are just like, my players and my players, get out.
Yeah.
You know, that happens, right? But that doesn't mean you can't go on their socials and be like, hey, I'm going to be hosting a Kill Team night on Thursday. Cool. Next door, I'm going to be hosting a Kill Team night on Thursday. Cool. Even if you only get 1 or 2 people, you can be like, hey, I'm going to go to this one next Tuesday or Thursday. Can you tell your friends to go to a different store? Sometimes you'll get some, sometimes you won't. We also started a tournament circuit pretty early. And the tournament circuit kind of let us connect with certain people. And selling Kill Team to people and building a scene is all just marketing. So if you come in with a good plan, you could come up with you can come up with something. It was all untested, right? So like every single week we would go to a different game store, try to find Kill Team players here and there and be like, hey, you come in with a good culture, because that's another big thing, right? You come in with a good culture, you come in with a good mindset. You don't go in to stomp people, you go in to teach people, and you're like, hey, it'd be really mean a lot to us if you ended up going to one of our tournaments. If you can't go to our typical tournaments, if you could only make one event a year, just come to the All Valley Team Tournament, right? It's not like a stereotypical tournament. It's very it's a team tournament. So like you win and you lose together with your friends. If you don't have any friends, that's okay. You'll make them when you're there because we'll put you on a team, right? And we kind of did 8 months worth of work. We ran 4 or 5 tournaments. We went to different other people's tournaments and we would talk to the Kill Team players there and tried to get them to come to ours as well. So between having a good culture and running good events, because there's something said about running events, because there are some tournament organizers that have, I'll be judgmental because this is where my competitiveness comes from, right? Have inferior events or events that are not player friendly, player centric, or they don't care enough to make them the more you put into your events, the more time that you put into your events, and the more people will see it, the more people will know that you care. If you just run an event like a game store, like we see this at a lot of game stores, if you just run an event and just like, hey, come in, we're going to have some terrain. This is like any other event that we do. It's going to be a bad event. No one cares. Like people will see that you ran an event. You're like, okay, that was just a tournament. Yeah, we have our own terrain. We have our own trophies. We have our own things. We have our own packets. We have our own maps. We divest so much time, so much effort into the game, and people see that. And typically, not all the time, but people are enthusiastic about it because we understand the game. We understand what players want. We've been to events. We went to an event, a team event. That we got 3rd place Renaissance, and they gave us a flippin'. This is not PG-13.
Just one.
They gave us 1 cup for a group of 5, and I was infuriated. I was like, I don't fucking want it. I could make this at home. What did I spend 2 weeks doing to get that? That I have to split with 5 people. Do I shatter it on the ground? No. Do I take a small piece? Yeah, I was really mad. Going to events, not having enough prize support, going to events that just has painted foam as terrain or not even painted foam. Sometimes they had to make it because they had to make one more table. I came in with a very specific mindset. All of my terrain is going to be painted.
Has to
have 3 colors. Otherwise, we won't run the event. All of my terrain, we're gonna care enough to make sure that we're as up to date on the rules as possible, right? And like that simple thought process of I'm gonna have prize support, then I'm gonna make good prize support on a laser, right? I'm also gonna make terrain and have it all painted. Those two simple things, I'm already beating the majority of events. Those two things. How many times have you been to a game store that they're running Octarius and they don't have Octarius painted?
Right, it's just great.
They don't have other things painted. I have seen certain events of certain people that I will not name on this podcast because they are too big, and their stuff is not painted. Okay? It's infuriating.
Because part of it is the immersion and experience of like my little plastic soldiers fighting, and when it's gray, it's like you just pulled it out of the box.
Or it's just sprayed silver, or it's just sprayed gold. It's infuriating. If you are requiring your players to paint their models at 3 colors minimum, your terrain should be 3 colors minimum. If you are not requiring your people to paint models, then you don't have to paint your terrain. That's fine. But we have a higher quality. So it's between quality, it's between culture, and doing the footwork. Our first 7 events, we had less than 14 people. First event was 7 players. And that was over 8 months. It is the long-term goal. All Valley Team Tournament was the next event. We had 47 people. Because we spent the weeks, we spent the hours, we spent the time, unpaid, losing money, going to gas, driving 90 minutes to game stores, driving 2 hours to game stores. There was one time in Orange County on that first year where I found out they're having a Kill Team Day. That is a 2-hour drive in traffic for me. I drove 2 hours to Orange County at the drop of it, at the drop of a penny, just to go meet 8 brand new players. Not a single one of them ever came to a tournament because they're all narrative players. But that is the kind of commitment that you have to be able to put to have a centerpiece, because that centerpiece is going to be going to be that group that people are going to want to draw to. You don't want to have like the super sweaties in there, because super sweaties will form their own group.
Right. They'll find it.
They'll always be there.
Yeah.
Right. You want to have those community leaders that are pushing good culture, that are pushing good stuff, that are pushing leveling up your experience of a game better than game stores, better than other stuff, with fun friendliness.
And I found it fascinating, like kind of as an outside orbiter. Like I'm kind of like Halley's Comet, right? I just kind of swing around SoCal every like once in a blue moon. I find it fascinating how you have subcultures here inside of your sphere. Like Kill Team's a great example, right? I showed up years ago in San Diego for like a GT that had a Kill Team event on the end of it, and there's like people in purple vests. There was a banner. There was a guy with his kids, and they were just all hyped about it. And it was awesome. And then in the last round, Kellen stomped my head in with novitiates, and some things never change. But that just kind of drew my attention. Like seeing those things, they become, to some extent, I come out here again and again now for the people, like for those experiences, and it's great to see how that all builds up, and I'm hoping to see it become more of the standard as we go, because it's just like, it's one thing to have people that play like Sadhammer, or play in their in their own little
on
thing.
TTS or in the garage. Some players don't have a choice. Some players are like in Sketachua,
right?
Wherever
Saskatchewan.
that is. Yeah, wherever that is. Somebody's there living.
Shout out to Moose Jaw, by the way.
Yeah. And you don't have a choice. You can't grow the Kill Team. You can't grow the game. In some places, it's just not going to catch on as much.
I'm like the 6th largest city in the United States. What the hell's my excuse?
You should be able to grow it. Like if you look at the East Coast, they're right in a city. They grow it because they're right there. Metropolitan area, traffic is everywhere.
Yeah, you're going to want... So main thing is get a good core of like 4 people around you, right? Because we all have lives. We all have kids.
Yep.
If you can't make it to the game store on one day, maybe one of them can. So on and so forth. You can trade off, and it's just kind of like footwork, and it's going to be like that for a while, and it's going to be growing really slowly, and unless if you get lucky and you find somebody else who's already kind of doing that, and then you can kind of like
join
absorb
forces,
them or join forces. But the worst thing is people that I do not get along with, Dakotah Luster does not get along with. are people who have a mindset of there's only so much pie in the world, right? I've come to butt heads with these kinds of organizers, these kind of people in the community. When there's only so much pie, this is mine, that is yours. I do not get along with those kinds of people. My thing is, why is there only so much pie? Can't we just make more pie?
Yeah, you just go from Kroger pie to Costco pie.
Yeah. We can be baking pie while we're both eating it.
Right.
You know, and look, there's more. Wow.
Right. There's never.
I took a little bit more pie this time. You can have a little bit more pie.
Right. You'll get it next time. It's never going to not be there, you know?
Yeah.
We can't, like, we don't have events in the East Coast, for an example. Like, there's no way we could do that.
Not yet.
Not yet. But we have people who do it. And that's awesome, right? Like, why can't you do Arizona, right? Like, we don't have a foot there yet. Like, and start building it. There's no reason not to.
Yeah.
You know, wherever you are.
And we can always try to help you in any way that we can as well.
We have the resources on the website for that reason.
I've had multiple organizers come out and ask me questions, and we kind of give our philosophy on like how to kind of like help that kind of stuff, right? How to run a good event, so on and so forth. But you don't have to run at events. You can, you know, but it's a lot easier when you have a 3D printer, or you have somebody who does, or you have somebody who has access to a laser cutter or something like that to make.
I'm doing a mental inventory right now of the people I need to assemble this team.
Right. Like,
You have
what
to-
would
you have to
I need the guy
assemble
with the
Avengers.
Trans Am and the guy that's afraid of flying in helicopters.
there you go.
Yeah. So I think there's definitely like the biggest thing is culture. You have to develop a culture. You have to develop something that is a little bit more competitively based, just because, and it's also like teaching people that competitiveness is not a bad thing, because there are a lot of people who look at events, a lot of people that look at Kill Team, and they think like, oh, just competitiveness, or like, I just want to play alone at home. And that's cool, but the game is never going to grow. Like, we have to come together at some points of the time. We have to come together to try and show other people stuff, right? And here's the thing. You're going to have a couple ding-dongs in every...
It's going to happen no matter what game.
There's always a ding-dong here and there.
Takes all kinds.
Yep.
Yep. So, like, developing a culture, developing that, and putting the time and effort into growing is some of the most base costs. Because if that time has never been put in, the scene will never grow.
Right.
Right? If somebody devotes their time and tries to grow it, it'll start to grow, and then it'll just start to take off. Like, for instance, Kill Team, you brought it up. Kill Team started off, and when we met them, it was just
With Jimmy and his kids, right?
Jimmy, his kids, and
Kevin?
Kevin.
Yeah, Kevin and
Kevin. Slowly, Kill Team has been adding members. Kill Team has been adding members and stuff like that, right? When the scene grows more, they're growing more. Same thing with Bats. The Bay Area Tournament Squad, and the more that they're running stuff, the bigger that they're growing, and they have a different culture than Kill Team. We have a different culture than Kill Team, right? But they all come to our events, right? We have people in LA who have like their own kind of like little friend groups and teams and stuff, and you have to be able to facilitate that, right? Like, you need like that person or that group that's willing to just help facilitate and bridge the gaps. Because, for instance, let's say you get a 14-person, 20-person group in Phoenix. Okay. Well, you talk to the Tucson guys. You're like, hey, I'm going to come out to one of your events. Have you guys come out to one of our events. You know, it's mutual at that point, you know, and then you're both, so you have like 10 of your 20 guys go out there, 10 of their 14, 20 guys go to yours, you know, and you just keep going back and forth. And then people come up and they're like, oh, there's a 30-person tournament. What is this game?
Right.
What are all these people having fun doing? And from that point, it's just exposure. So people start seeing it more. Also, it's the game. The game has to be good.
Yeah, of course.
Obviously,
We're
right?
assuming in the perfect world the game is working fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if the game is bad and dies, then
And
the game,
that's on the game. We can't really control that.
yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So
And they'll break off on their own too. So like Tucson and Arizona meeting, like they'll make some friends and go like, hey, on the weekend we're going to meet to play, which will just get more people to start coming in and build stuff.
And that'd be great. I just need to, I think that getting that core kind of social circle of
consistent.
people that are generously developing and recruiting is going to be important because that's the hub, and then all the spokes kind of rotate around it. Otherwise, without the hub, people just kind of start playing in basements and drifting off,
Yes.
and then like
need
maybe
that
they
third
show up to the
space.
store when a product launches again.
Exactly.
That should probably be something else I haven't really considered because Saturdays are usually launch day for a lot of things, and my Saturdays have been really full. I got to find somebody that can be out there on the Saturdays and
Just have
rep
teaching
when
games.
people are grabbing product, right? Because that's everybody shows up on release day. Really do.
What's a day you usually play during the week when you're free? You and a friend are free.
Like right now, our kind of regular night is Monday.
Okay. So if you stay consistent and go on Mondays, I guarantee you there's folks who have the whole week free, but they don't know about it or they go every blue moon with their friend. But if they start seeing like, hey, there's these guys consistently going on Monday at this game store, well, I'm going to show up now.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna
I try to make it a habit of going every Monday.
Yes, it's important to have a habit.
I bring my hobby stuff with me too, in case there's an odd man out situation.
Right.
Where I'm like, I will play the odd man, or I will be the odd man, and I will paint something. Because
Exactly.
goodness knows my pile of shame is not getting any smaller.
If you only ever go to one store, you will get dramatically less return because you're
eventually
never
people-
because you've already tapped that store, right? You found those people. Those people are there already.
And you hope that they're going to pull it
But
on their
in
own
order to
now.
grow, you have to go
Somewhere
out of your
else.
bubble and go to different stores. You have to make friends with different game store owners. And you'd be like, hey, I'm really trying to develop the Kill Team community in Phoenix. Is there a way that you could help me? Is there a way that I could give you a Discord that people can start to
come to.
And Discord is a double-edged sword too. I found.
is.
On the one hand, it if you can find the right one for like a region, people will all congregate there. On the other hand, like each store has a separate one,
And they're gonna
people
go to their
don't
own
always
stores.
match up. The
matter
other thing
what
that
you say.
happens, I've noticed, is that like, people get into the habit of just doing scheduled games. So instead of people coming to Kill Team night,
Right,
it's
at
like
night.
Joe and Frank are playing on Thursday. Mike and Bob, they're just going to play at Bob's house because they can't make it on Monday, and then it becomes like by appointment only. And
Which
that's
is
a
not-
really weird phenomena. It's really hard to build a community when games are by appointment only.
Yeah.
There's no third space aspect because that's a big thing too. Is like this is a place where you go. There's no pressure to buy something. There's no pressure to do anything. But you're coming and meeting friends who have like-minded things, right? Like okay, we come to Kill Team. Sometimes some people don't play, but they just want to be around the players that they've met and become friends with. So they'll go to that place because they want to be with their friends. And in turn, they'll keep playing the game, and more people see that it's friendly. So other people would choose to jump in. Or, ask and are curious about it, then that's your moment to be like, well, you should try it, here's a demo, and you demo it to people. There's nothing wrong with that.
By the by, back to the starter set, that might be a difficult start collecting set for somebody, like as a gift, but it is a great demo set.
It is. It is.
It is peak demo set.
Yeah,
in
you can
my
also
opinion.
just go like, hey, I'm gonna use 3 Space Marines, you're gonna use 3 Space Marines, and we're gonna fight the Nurgle team together.
Yep. That's a good- yeah.
Oh yeah.
I find that this edition lends itself to demo games really, really well because a lot of times, like things I've heard from people who I think have been doing it wrong is like, oh, I've been teaching guys, and every time I teach somebody, I just crush them. It's like,
Yeah,
well, did they come
joint
back?
ops. I swear by it.
It's not like most of my friends who wouldn't come out normally because they're like, well, it's more competitive and I don't like that. You bring in joint ops and they're like, I'll play with you. Now it's a co-op game.
We
And
had
it's
one
not
of those
a problem.
when we had one of those odd man out situations with a new player, and I was like, I will play the you guys play like experienced player, new player. You guys take your stuff and sit over there, and I will DM the
game.
the
I'll be the bad
NPOs.
guys.
Yeah,
I'll
exactly.
be the bad guys.
And it was just fun because I knew like statistically 90 wounds worth of guys was not going to actually win this, but they, because they were kind of like, oh yeah, probably over in turn 1 and turn 2, like turn 4, and like there's 4 dead Space Marines by
Right,
the
and
time
they're
all my
like,
guys are
"Ugh."
dead, and I'm like, that's perfect.
Right,
That's
it
where
felt
we
good
want to
for
be.
them.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of really good things in the game, but you just kind of have to get people willing to sit there, willing to try it. One of the other hard things is convincing Warhammer players
To try to play Kill
to play Kill Team. And we've been rather successful on some aspects. But usually I find that you have to those people have to be willing to have that in the first place because they aren't having fun at the game or this or that.
Yeah.
So sometimes those will just come out of the blue,
You know what the other thing is, and this is a problem I have sometimes playing at the local Warhammer or Games Workshop stores with Kill Team, is that you also have this whole, I'm going to put my foot into Kill Team, followed by I'm immediately going to be vacuumed up by Big Hammer.
Right, because they want
and
you
then
to
they're
do
gone, right? Like they're just like, I could play with one group of Pathfinders, or I could run people over with Devilfish, and now they're treadheads and they're gone. I mean, I don't want to stop that. That's probably a good thing, but I do want to give them a reason to come back to Kill Team on occasion.
So I find that there's skirmish players, and then there's
Big war gamers.
big war gamers, and then there is some overlap, right? For instance, we've converted quite a few of our old friends. It took them 4 years,
Easy, yeah.
But-
They just had to try it.
but they were playing. What were they playing? We were all playing 40K together when we first started Kill Team. And then it's been 3 years now, and now this is the first time that all of them have bought tickets to Kill Team.
Right, exactly.
Because they have finally found it is a better game. Now we're going to stop tooting our own horn about that.
It's a different experience, and sometimes when you're in Vegas, that experience is worth being like, the day ends earlier, I want to go enjoy Vegas.
You start later,
Right.
Day ends earlier.
There's less stress.
Also, it's your podcast. You probably paid to toot your own horn. I mean, you're entitled.
it is, yeah.
I mean, if they're listening to us this long,
They've
know,
made it this far, then they're
mean-
for sure.
Literally the only reason I go out to Vegas now. Like
Yeah.
when I was younger and had significantly less kids, my wife and I might go out there for actually a vacation or something. Now it's like LVO.
That's
It's
it.
the only reason I go up.
Which we appreciate you coming out.
sometimes we'll go for other events, or I'll go to like eat. For
I went once for AWS reInvent.
Yeah.
For work, but work paid for that.
There you go.
So
There you go.
Yeah, I think also traveling is really important, so like, or getting to know other organizers, like I know a lot of organizers
Tons.
now, tons and tons and tons. Some of them stay in contact, some of them fall off. But it's good to keep an eye on other events and that kind of stuff too when you're trying to start a scene. Be like, oh, what's been working for you? What are marketing ploys that have been working for you to get people to come to your events?
Right. Let's try to implement
events,
something similar.
afters for events matters too.
Yeah.
I think.
And also you cannot, if you end up running events, this goes to everyone. If you end up running events, do not run events in the red. You cannot lose money running events. Does that mean
I'll
you have
show
to
you
make a
I can
profit?
lose money.
Yeah. Does that mean you have to make a profit? No. But one of the big things is you will burn out. And people, it happens here sometimes too. It's like, oh, wow, this one ran red. This feels really bad. Why are we
doing this one?
Why are we running events? It gets to that point sometimes. It's like, why are we running events? Like, we could be making more content, and sometimes, sometimes you do it for the community.
So sometimes you just have to take it.
And like, you're like, well, if we don't do it, no one's going to do it. And the game will die.
And then there's no reason to make content, and then there's no reason to enjoy what we do.
Yeah. So sometimes it is just a labor of love. So you have to have those people willing to do the labor of love, not willing to make money.
So start slow. Don't
Start
overdo it. Like if you're friends with your owner at the game store, figure out a method where you can at least break even.
Yeah.
And then we can continue doing it, and then eventually you'll see a profit. It takes a while.
Now, I'm also not a big fan of the game store method, where the game stores are like, hey, you run an event and we'll give you store credit.
Right. That's not really.
You're donating your time. 100%. You are donating your time. You're donating your resources
You
for
deserve
free
to
Warhammer
be paid.
that they're paying half price for.
Right. You deserve to be paid.
You
for what you do.
deserve something. Deserve something.
You've earned it.
You should not ever walk away with just plastic. Sure, if your budget is tight enough that you're working for free plastic, you probably need $20, $30, $40. You should get your lunch for free. You should. There has to be something. There has to be something. Like, you can't just be all on the store making a profit.
Right.
Right. That's something. It has to work both ways. If you're going to be a third party tournament organizer, you will burn out if people are taking advantage of you. Right. Like, we experience that when we work with other events. When we work with other events, they're like, hey, we're going to do a profit share method. Oh, guess what? You earn nothing.
Yeah, always take the points on the gross, never on the net.
Yes.
Yeah. So there are certain things that you have to do, because then you're like, okay, well, I'm just never going to work with you again. And they're like, oh, it doesn't matter because we already made our money.
We made it once, and they don't want it again. And then cool. Then the scene dies because now no one's there.
Exactly. So you want to make sure that it's sustainable for you. It doesn't have to be a lot of money. If you put $20 in to your laser cut things, or $20 into filament for the things that you printed, right? Or $20 to some Etsy
Guy who made it for you.
made it for you. You make sure you get that money back. It's just that simple, I see a lot of people that are just like, okay, well, they just get store credit and I earn a little bit of store credit too. That works for people, but guess what? It's not going to work for every game store. It's not going to work all over the place. You're going to get locked into a singular game store. That's how they trap you, So it's very much like, you don't want to get beholden to people in stores, because game stores, guess what average game store lifespan is?
Like maybe 2 years.
5 years?
Less than 2 years.
Yeah.
Yikes.
So if there's a game store that's been out there for less than 2 years, sometimes they're going to be cutting cost on bathrooms, keeping up quality, renovating, stuff like that to stay up. Sometimes they're going to be doing it. Sometimes they're super successful. Awesome.
Yeah.
Right. But a lot of times, if you become beholden to a brand new game store, they just opened, something like that, their profits aren't where they're supposed to be. Whenever you open a game store, you have to have enough revenue to run at a loss for 2 years.
Easy. You take it on
at
the chin.
minimum.
Yeah.
Right. And then you can only and most people can't do that. So their dreams of opening a game store just die. And they have to sell, they have to get rid of it.
And that's the thing. It's a dream. They didn't actually put the time to think about how long do I need to make this work? And as soon as they hit the ground running, how can I start running events that just make me money and get people in the door more often?
So then they use community people, and then they pay them below subpar, below cost, because they're paying them be like, oh yeah, you could get this like $40 thing. It only cost us $15.
Exactly.
You spent 8 hours here. How is that fair?
Right. We made all this money. And then we're just going to, like an example, if this were to happen to us, we would just walk away.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to come back there. You made your money once, but now it's over for you. You don't have us consistently bringing people in who will then go like, oh, we went to that game store for the tournament. Let's go again on Tuesday to play and go and buy stuff.
To build a healthy community, you have to have healthy boundaries. You have to have healthy store owners, and you have to have healthy stores. And you can help build healthy stores. Just make sure that their bottom end, because maybe they're struggling, so they have to do something like that, right? And they have to be like, oh well, we can't afford a lot because this is the only way that it'll make sense for us. That store might not be there for very long,
right?
You want to develop good habits, because when a game store goes away, all of a sudden all those people don't have a place to go,
and they leave.
But there's a community that you can build that can go anywhere else. If that game store dies and you designate your community to a game store, and that game store dies, that community is dead. Right? We have to build. If there's not a third party space, then that community can't just continue going around. Right?
And one of the things that rings a bell for me, way back when I was try-hard, young man, and Magic the Gathering days.
Hell yeah.
Remember the big events that we started putting together in Boston? They were always, even if they were anchored by a store, I think Rob Doherty from Your Move Games was the guy that really anchored the games in Boston. The big events were always at a third-party venue. I think we had the Brighton Knights of Columbus Hall rented out for every month for PTQs for years and years. And it was just a place everybody knew to go as a third party. And I wonder if it's worth laying groundwork with something like the local college to be able to, because that's the other thing. Stores have to balance their retail space and their regular events and their Saturday schedules and everything else with your little Kill Team event that doesn't really make them a bunch of money, right? And maybe having another place to fall back as a plan of being able to go someplace third party when things grow is necessary in that regard. Plus, not everybody goes to the same store. Colleges seem to be a wellspring of people with too much time on their hands, and being able to kind of pull from there might be a good, healthy next step.
Actually, that would be a good one. Yeah,
it could be. The other thing is that I'm also saying never to make those things. There's certain things if this is the only way one of your stores can do it that you regularly go to, right? Then sure, bite the bullet, take the store credit. But don't make it your only thing. Right.
Expand
Don't make it
and go other places.
You have to realize that that's not a good relationship. It might be good for a little while, but You're going to get burnt out. The store is going to get burnt out. Something's going to happen. I'm also not saying like sometimes you have to be able to sacrifice, and so does the store, right? So sometimes you're going to have to sacrifice to run an event at a store, and that's okay. That happens, It's happened to us before. We've had to take bad deals to run an event, That doesn't mean we're going to go back.
You just don't make a habit of it.
Yeah, exactly. Everything in moderation. It's the same thing. Like, don't drink too much caffeine or monsters.
Yeah.
And
it's a learning experience too. Like
Too much is subjective.
yeah. So sometimes it's always good to like come in and try different things, because you know what? Maybe that works really good for somebody. It could work really good for somebody, right? But for us, and for I think the majority of people that I've seen come and go out of scenes, it does not work. And I also think another big one is somehow you have to make terrain, because you can't
need an
depend on the
advantage.
community.
Yep.
Because imagine I've seen this happen to event organizers. They have somebody who has like a bunch of terrain. They have a falling out. They have no more terrain.
Yep.
Oh,
Now,
there's
like,
an event coming up.
we're dead.
Well, and the problem in stores a lot of the time is the terrain's meant to be interchangeable with 40K. So you're going to have this event, unless you can like hijack everything the night before, 40K players are just going to take that terrain, and now you can't put Vulcus together because somebody's got a bunch of friggin' a Land Raider park next to it with a bunch of Terminators on top of it.
So you can either invest a lot into Games Workshop terrain, you can get a 3D printer, you can 3D print stuff, you can hand make stuff. If you put the time and love into any terrain, even if it's foam, whatever it is,
It'll look nice.
as long as it looks nice and people see that you tried, people are going to enjoy it.
It's an immersion thing, because they go, "How do I try this game?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and there's lots of ways to do it, but
It can also become a draw. Like if terrain's your thing,
And you're good
Like-
at it. Yeah.
yeah, people like to play on new exotic terrain. They love to see paint jobs and all these other things. Like those can become part of the attraction.
similar to LVO, right? Like LVO, we have, third party everything. Nothing is GW stock standard other than Into the Dark,
Yep.
right?
Which
and-
I think is their best creation so far of a terrain set.
Correct.
Yes, if you're going to buy one.
Yeah. But if those terrain sets go out, guess what? We have 30 sets of Into the Dark. That is going to become narrative terrain, I guess, because there's nothing else to do with it.
Yep.
So a lot of times, like, organizers have to be willing to be able to adapt and change. We saw Frontline Gaming deal with something like that with 40K, where their event started struggling in 10th edition because the terrain set changed. The type of terrain that they needed to use in 40K changed, and they were running LVO with 1,000 40K players. Guess what?
They do like 500 tables of terrain. Just
They had to
redo the whole
change.
thing.
They had to
Ugh.
change, and they didn't. And they got bad reviews for certain things. And then they started changing stuff, and it got better by LVO, but they still had some of their old stuff. They still had GW stuff, and then eventually, like, they caught back up with the times. But like the bigger events that you run, the more there's more open hostility in game design space when things change.
I just had a thought in that regard. I noticed one of the habits sometimes on events is that the top tables have the best terrain, and then by the bottom you're hitting unpainted stuff and leftovers.
You're in
And I think that's
table
actually
1,000.
really dangerous, because the players that are there that haven't bit the apple quite as many times yet, that are struggling with their initial,
They're in the back.
they're in the back, and now they're
Especially
having
with Kill Team, when their teams keep getting destroyed or
Nerfed.
nuked
Yeah.
off the table. Right?
Yeah, like that's such an easy habit to fall into. And those players, you do not want them to be an afterthought from a tournament organizer perspective.
Absolutely not.
They're going to walk away.
It's the
And then
same
you
thing
just
with
lose
narrative
them.
players. Every single narrative event that we did, KTO 2, they put all the narrative people outside in a tent. No one was inside the building.
Correct.
in the
Thankfully,
mansion.
it was warm. It
was warm.
but it was kind of one of those like we're outside. Like what? When
Yeah.
you first read it, you're like, what?
yeah. You're like,
Do they,
I
are we
signed up to
second-class
play in a
players?
mansion.
Right. Yeah.
not-
Like why are we outside?
exactly.
Yeah.
So like,
Which I think they definitely could have used a
There
lot
was-
of the space. They definitely could have had. Yeah. That's a different story.
So there's different things of like different areas. Like when we do our narrative, it's always in the front. Because they're just as cherished
Bish.
as our competitive players, right? They belong in the. That's why we run LVO the same way we do. They're a part of the overall event. A lot of people run narrative as a separate thing. No, they are part of the event. They have the same time metrics. They have the same stuff, but they don't play as many games because they cannot. They're not gonna. I'm not gonna let a narrative player win the Las Vegas Open.
Right. That's just not. That's not what they signed up for.
They drop after 5 rounds, and they have custom missions. They have custom things where they're not going to score nearly as much as other players. Right.
They have custom boards that are absolutely gorgeous, by the way.
They're fun to play on, right?
I was so sad at the All Valley Team Tournament. We had to repair our last match, so we missed the Sarlacc Pit of Death. We wanted to throw Harlequins down in there. It's so bad.
Since you mentioned that, a quick side note. I love the Legion guys, the Star Wars Legion guys. They always have pimped out, like, their boards are narrative as hell. Anyways, that's just a little tangent.
I mean, that's the thing, though. Like,
it's fun to look at.
Unfortunately, the competitive Kill Team community is very raw.
Yeah.
They're Scrooges, as some people said, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
They are very raw, and they only like certain competitive stuff. So when I pushed out this asymmetrical Into the Dark set, I was like, oh, here's a narrative wall. How are people going to think? And people are like, oh, this is game breaking. This is amazing.
Right.
You know, but here's the thing, like.
Yep.
Everyone should want to play with Rule of Cool.
Yeah.
As long as it's competitive.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, and let's be fair here. Raw competitive, like, the problem with narrative sometimes with people, like, that's unfair, that's unbalanced, right? We're not all on the same page. But not going to name names or point fingers, but lately maybe the Raw is not as necessarily as balanced as we were hoping. I'm not the only one. You know, so you have to find that happy medium.
This is the most balanced version of Kill Team.
Fair and balanced.
I think the base rules are.
The base rules are pretty
like,
good.
as a chassis, it's great. It's once you start hitting the data cards, things kind of go off.
Yeah, this server blade is better than this one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, I think that's one of the things, right? Is that definitely the Rule of Cool is. That's why there's such a big draw to All Valley Team Tournament too. Is like we have some really interesting Rule of Cool stuff. Some of the competitive players, like, oh my gosh, I've got nothing but narrative boards.
I'm gonna lose.
And I'm like, well, that sounds like your
you have
team
two
problem.
other boards
Right,
to pick from. If they know you don't want to play on the narrative board, they shouldn't send you to it.
Right.
Exactly.
And if you're
just
good,
choose
you'll figure it
Defender and
out.
choose one of the other ones.
Yeah, you'll figure it out. You know.
Yeah, have fun.
Have fun. This is you're with your friends, man. Unless your friends are hella salty.
Yeah.
Or like hella sweaty.
That's the whole point of having a 3-man team, though. You can have the Sweat Lord, but you
Right.
can also have, like, the guy that makes the Sweat Lord tolerable on the team.
Yeah.
It's okay.
The chillest dude there.
Yeah, be like, hey, that's my friend, the Sweat Lord. You should probably put one of your Sweat Lords into him, and then we'll just have fun, and then we'll both laugh at their expense, and then that happens.
I remember Saya and I were playing next to you and someone else at the. Not Kubla Khan, but one of the cons they have out here in LA. And I remember going up to her when you guys were doing your thing, getting the TO, and I looked at her and go, "That's why we're not at the top table."
Oh, I think that's when I was playing Chris Bieranid.
I think so, yeah. And we were like, they're going at it with the rules, and like, no, we're good. That probably works. Go ahead and shoot me. That's good enough. That's why we're not at the top.
Yeah.
You know, have fun with it. You know.
Yeah, I think that's. But there's also a space for the sweaties in every group. There's people for the narrative fluff players in every group.
It takes all kinds.
And that's the community that you kind of have to build. And it does just take time.
That's where the magic happens.
That's where the magic happens. Partner with with an LGS. Make sure you have a good relationship with the owners. Like, figure it out. Make it work for both of you because they want people to come in, and you want to be able to keep doing this and not get burnt out.
Yeah. And I think that's the most important thing. And I think that there are, like I said before, there are some LGSs that just want to take advantage, and sometimes you just have to say no.
I think thankfully we don't have that many where I'm from. At that, in terms of that, we get some really good people. I think the biggest challenge is bridging the gap. Like, there are just all these little gaps you have to be able to bridge, and I think you do need to build that core team of people because it really looks like you're going to put miles on your feet, you're going to put miles on your car, and you're going to have to do it for the love of the game.
Yep.
And a lot of people are going to benefit from it more than you in terms of enjoyment. And you just accept that that's reality.
Yep.
And you make sure that you get what you need out of it while you're doing it.
But I think that you're coming in with a good mindset, and the other thing is that we all have to be willing to accept criticism.
Yep.
Right. If you mess up or something like that, there's a lot of people in this world who don't like to give criticism or who give too much. And then there's other people who are too sensitive. You have to be willing.
I feel personally attacked.
You got to just take it, take it on the chin.
You have to be willing to accept criticism as an organizer as well, and accept your faults, because guess what? I don't know everything. I just know a lot. I don't know everything. And some things that I know are probably wrong.
That they will let us know. They will let us know.
And sometimes it's dangerous to assume that because you've seen this happen before someplace else, that it's going to work for your particular locality.
And some game stores I have never stepped foot in, and they still send me stuff for Las Vegas.
Right.
Nice.
And
we
so
have a good reputation.
And then there's just some game store owners that are just like, yeah, I'm down to help the community no matter what. And you don't have to come here, you don't have to do anything like that, and it's great.
Yeah, so I got to be prepared. Like if the situation comes up, people like, we don't like playing approved ops. We want to play narrative. Can you give us something narrative that travels around that we're excited about? I need to be able to flex into that. Just because I'm a half-hearted try hard some of the time doesn't mean that people need to play the way I want to play.
Right.
For me to have them have a good time.
Yep. And sometimes some of those narrative players will come out to an event. We had a guy named Alex come out to one of our events.
You have a lot of guys named Alex come out to your events.
There is. But
Only one else
I've
will
been
pop.
trying for like 9. How long has he been in the scene?
For a minute.
For a long time.
Yeah, he's been there
and
for a
I've
minute.
never been able to get him to come to a tournament. Ever. Ever. He's always said no. And then I got him to come to one game at the All Valley
And
Team
he was all
tournament.
sold for it.
And he was like, yo, this is dope. And I was like, I know. I told you.
You got to just experience it once. And
You
once
you just got to try.
because either way, even if it's just like a 1v1.
Also, teams
Right.
are
Teams
different.
is a really easy way to ease people in.
Yes.
Because 1v1, you're still going with like 7 of your friends to go to a 1v1 tournament. And it's still like you're with your friends at the end of the round.
Yeah, and this event, this style of kill team does great for duos, because you can do approved ops half and half versus another team who's half and half, and you can do a doubles on one board.
Oh man, that actually does sound like a lot of fun.
We're going to do a doubles this year.
And the important thing about bringing a friend in these situations is when you go to you're trying to get people to come to something new. Like when you're starting out, you're trying to get people to come to something new.
To come back.
Yeah.
And you want them to
And
come
that's
back.
the biggest thing.
But that initial risk of going out of your way to meet new people and play a game in a new environment, like the big risk on that is I'm going to show up, I'm going to play 3 rounds, it's going to suck, I'm not going to know anybody, I'm not going to get along with anybody, and I'm going to drive home.
Right. And that's
Right.
not fun.
Yeah.
You bring your friend, well, okay, so assume it's the worst case scenario, but your friend, you got 2 or 3 friends with you.
You can
and
go
everything
home
sucks.
and you can drive
go to
home and
IHOP
talk.
Yeah, we
afterwards
get it,
and
yeah.
complain about it over pancakes.
You can talk
Right,
shit
exactly.
the entire
Yeah.
time. Oh,
There you
that
Yep.
guy, Sean. Oh my gosh.
I didn't like him.
Oh
Who's
my-
Alex Popov? You know,
What kind of name is Jack Ammo anyway?
There you go.
Yeah,
I'm a
but I
jackalope.
like Jack Ammo. You didn't like Jack Ammo? That guy was dope.
Exactly.
The most American name I've ever heard. named by
So
real
good.
patriots.
I never thought of that.
Jack Ammo Eagle Claw.
Yep.
You're absolutely right, though. But yes, and I think skirmish games are a little bit easier to teach a friend. I think GW has designed teams to be simple, Space Marines, to be simple enough to just go run and hit face.
I love the idea of like a joint ops type event where you're like, bring a friend.
Yep,
Like
that's-
literally bring a friend that's never played before. We're going to put him in the meat grinder. It's going to be funny.
They'll have fun.
Yeah, we're probably gonna maybe not. That's never played before, but we'll probably do
With
some
minimal
sort of
experience.
I know
you
what
know?
you mean, but
Yeah, they got
Yeah.
something. They understand war games.
yeah,
Bring your filthy casual friends.
Yeah, then
We'll
and
convert
let them experience it and have fun.
yeah. I think there's a lot of good things that you can do with the thing. One last thing is, how are you different than everyone else? You
My
don't.
mom
have
says
to be
I'm
different.
special.
All right.
You don't have to be different than everyone else, but there is something to say of like, hey, the only place that you can get the Squad Games trophies at are Squad Games events. We also have very specific thought processes for our events, right? Like Nova doesn't do pre-released maps, right? Other places don't do pre-released maps. There's like, how are you going to be different and make yourself more likable to other people in your community?
That reminds me. So the first time I ever went to LVO, it was before your time, I think, in running it. It was at Bally's.
Yeah, at the Bally's.
I was there.
Yeah,
At
in the
Bally's.
upstairs room.
Yeah, I tied for
And
eighth, and I got
You actually got to play. You weren't running it at that point, I think.
correct.
Yeah, you inside.
Tied for 8th, and I didn't make the top cut because of strength of schedule.
Yeah.
That's a different story.
But I remember playing up there, and I remember the one thing that stuck with me, besides like just meeting awesome people, the Orctagon. There was this one guy that brought
dude,
this Mad Max death arena of orcs and stuff there, and you would just throw your character models into it against like a Mork or Gork boss, and you get a little purity seal or whatever when you won. And that stuck with me so long that even after COVID, I was like, I'm going to come back to LVO because, I mean, I didn't win the tournament, some ups, some downs, met some cool people, and I got to do something that I don't have an Orctagon at home. Mm-hmm. We do not have an Orctagon at home, right? Like, that was a thing.
Yeah, so the Orctagon came back the next year.
Mm-hmm. That was at the Rio, right?
That was the Rio. So
Yeah.
after COVID, it was when Sheldon was doing it in 2020.
I remember seeing it in the corner. The dude was like, "Yeah, you could try out."
Yeah, but he moved to 40K.
Yeah.
And he was playing 40K in 2022.
Rest in pepperonis, Orctagon guy.
Yeah, rest in peace, my guy. But yeah, no, the Orctagon was really interesting, and I thought we kind of did like this arena thing last time
For the After Dark.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you right now, for us to run an After Dark event, we have to
You don't sleep enough as it is.
Yeah, exactly.
It is, man. Yeah, that's a 12, 14-hour day.
Yeah, LVO, which we only have 8 tickets left.
Get them soon.
But LVO, we come in on we start driving here probably around 5 a.m.
Yep.
On Thursday,
and we start setting up as soon as
so we
get
set
there.
up so we spend all night packing.
Right, the Wednesday before. Yep.
Then we drive 5 hours to LVO, and then we unload around 10.
If you're lucky, they'll let you use the cargo side.
They do.
They do,
luckily.
thankfully.
But this year we're not in the same room, so I don't know where we're gonna. I don't know what's gonna
We'll
happen.
see if the cargo side is there.
Yeah,
'Cause I love
Watch,
the
they put
cargo
us in
side.
one of those towers.
That was not fun. I did not like being up in the tower.
So they're gonna put us somewhere, and then we have to transport all of our stuff there. Giacomo focuses on setting up all the stream, all that kind of stuff. Then we have to set out 100. No, there's 174 players. I'm expecting to sell out. So 174 divided by 2 is
What is almost 70-ish boards?
87 boards.
87 boards that have a specific layout with a specific everything that we have to set up all of Thursday. And then we go to sleep. And then we wake up at 7 a.m. to come down, make sure everything is in its place because people like to come in and move stuff and play stuff early. So we make sure everything's set up. We do our pregame meeting. And we tell everyone, I give everyone an inspirational speech, blah, 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 blah. Make sure we're all on point, make sure the stream's running.
Yep.
Everyone gets there by 8. We start judging Hobby Track. And then it doesn't stop until like 5. On Friday, we're going to do a showcase match where we're going to do an NPO thing. It's going to be Titus versus like Space Marines and stuff
Right.
with some people from the Kill Team scene. So we're probably not going to be done till like 7-ish.
Yep.
And then we go and eat. And then we go to sleep and we wake up at 7, we do it again. And then we go to sleep, we go eat and do maybe Saturday we'll be able to do something.
Maybe.
And then we go wake up on Sunday, do the same thing, and then we're done by 5 and everyone leaves.
Yep.
And then it's
we
just
are
me,
striking the sets.
Giacomo and Saya taking down 87 boards. All of our stuff. Everything, all the stream, and then we pack it up and then we drive 5 hours home.
And then we make it home.
After 5. So we usually leave around 8. We don't get home until 1-ish.
Yeah.
And then I have to unload. Oof. It's a very long time. So there's not a lot of time. So when they're like, do you want to do an After Dark? I'm like, no.
Not really.
No, I don't.
I want to go to sleep.
I want to sleep. You can have somebody else do an After Dark.
I will pass out on that couch.
But not me. And everyone's like, oh, I wish there was an After Dark. I'm like, well, I don't.
I don't. I want to go to bed and I'd like to eat something first.
Yeah, I want to go to the Strip and eat at Chef Ramsay's. I want to
be
go to the
nice.
Strip and I want to go to the Mew. What is that thing called? Mew Mart. There's like a art museum.
Oh, inside it and you have to go find it or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to go do stuff, just like everyone else gets to.
Yes. Or at least sleep.
Yeah,
One of the two.
yeah.
Wind up driving back to Henderson. I usually stay out that way. It's like where all like the people that retire from working on the strip go. So like the restaurants are just ridiculous. You like pay regular prices, and you're like, this guy used to cook at at Caesar's.
Right.
Just knocks it out.
Right.
It's amazing.
And it's like significantly less because it's not on strip. But
yeah. So it's like if you're a budget traveler, Henderson definitely worth looking into,
There you go.
and then come over to the
Free
Rio
advice.
for that.
And the other cool thing is things like LVO. When you have a group, you can be like, how many of us are going to LVO? Let's all get rooms together. And then we all see how we do. We all kind of go as a loosely grouped team, or All Valley. Oh, guys, let's go to California. They got this great team tournament.
Yep.
right, room share, guys. Room sharing is important. It's cheaper.
It is.
Yes, generally. Try to do that if you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to start wrapping it up here. Is there anything that you guys want to shout out at the end of the video
You want to start, Marty?
or podcast?
I'm just going to thank my wife, who's now wrangling the 4 kids at home.
Thank you, Marty's wife.
So thanks, Liz. Always appreciate you.
Okay, I'll go. You can always join the conversation by checking out the Discord or putting your comment if you're watching this on YouTube. Check that out. Check out the Hobby Highlander. Tell us what you think about certain colors. Tell us what you think about Kill Team. Let us know about all that good stuff. You can also check out our Patreon. Patreon members get extra episodes, get a few extra podcasts, and a bunch of free things that come up ahead of time before the whole community gets to try it out.
There is a Patreon-only Discord
as well.
that is in our Discord, which has access to after-hour streams, and so where we do some battle reports, and also a lot of the stuff. Sometimes I don't post it there. I'm just like, I take a picture of something. I'm like, what do you guys think? Tell me. And I'll take like pre-merch LVO stuff and be like, hey guys, look at these new dice. What do you think? Are these good? And people are like, yeah.
Yeah, so you want to have influence on what's good and what's not good in the scene. That's a good way to do it.
Sometimes we ask about, hey, what should we do a podcast on?
Yep.
And usually it's right before, and everyone takes too long, and we're already recording.
Until we get it for the next one.
Yeah, exactly.
And we do what we can. So, you could check that out. And that helps us as well, run more events for you guys and try to make more content for you to enjoy. And you can find us on Instagram at squad_games_entertainment on Instagram. Or, we try to keep you up to date with the stuff that's happening, like when we did the World Championships and we were keeping you up there. You can check us out on Twitch. We do live streams. In fact, by the time you're listening to this, we'd already done a live stream. And the video will then go up on YouTube, and you could catch it there. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think. Tell us what we did wrong. Tell us what we did right. That's my spiel. Mm-hmm. How about you?
Shout out to Marty for driving so far. Let's not forget our Alexander Popov shout out
All the time.
Can't forget that guy. I also want to shout out. I think I forgot to do this at the beginning of the episode. We've added 2 new members to the Squad Games team. It is no longer just me, Saya, and Giacomo.
Giacomo.
Yeah.
We've also added Alexander Popov. He's done way too much for us not to have him out there. I'm still waiting for a profile picture and a little blurb so we can put him on the website. And David. Shout out to David.
Shout out to David.
All of the stats work that you do, all the time that you spend away from your family, making sure that the stats are correct and that they're up on the website, going great. Without those 2 guys, they do a lot behind the scenes, and they definitely help us out, and they do it all for the love of everything. So everything
Community
Kill Team and
heroes.
Squad Games. So
Yes.
appreciate them. But yeah.
Let's
And
wrap
shout
it
out
up
to
here.
you guys making it this far in the video. Some people would say a double goodbye, but that's not us.
Nope. We say it once.
Just once.
Just once.
Until next time, everyone.
See ya.
Take care, everybody.
The Squad Games podcast is a production of Squad Games Entertainment. For more information on Squad Games, please visit our website at lestersworkshop.com/squad-games.